Transforming every calorie stored in his body into overwhelming power, this man managed to become a true icon in the world of boxing. While taking the cruelest hits from other fighters of the golden era as if he were destined for it, he proved that his body is a unique fortress that no one else will ever match. Eric Esch, or as you may have ButterBean, is an incredible phenomenon of the noble art of fists, adored by millions of fans. In this video, we'll take a look at the best fights of the heaviest among the heavyweights. Viewer discretion is advised. What you're about to see is not for the faint of heart. Pratis sees done content. Eric ButterBean, Esch vs. Beard. At the dawn of the 21st century, Esch came face to face with a daunting challenge, better known as Jackie Beard. For this fight, Beard had the height and reach advantage and believed he could easily make his modest, chubby opponent sweat. From the opening bell, Beard tried to take the initiative and, almost effortlessly, landed power shots on his massive target. Not long after, Beard was overcome by a false sense of superiority and decided it would be a good idea to mock ButterBean with great arrogance. Reaching the limit of his patience, Esch tried to fight back, only for Beard to dodge most of his greasy punches like a ninja capable of escaping any dangerous situation. At one point, the cocky fighter felt so certain of victory that he started dancing in the ring, as if celebrating prematurely. However, Eric didn't seem affected by his rival's disco-fueled arrogance. After refueling during the break with some chocolate syrup, he awakened his beastly appetite for revenge. From that moment on, ButterBean absorbed every one of Beard's punches as easily as he would devour crispy, spicy wings after the fight.
And Bean says, come on. He's more of a pro style than he is a tough man.
Right, because Bean just wants to punch it out.
Bean just smiling through this round. Looking to load up that time. Beard says,
Suddenly, with a crushingly precise right hand, he sent Beard dancing straight into the stratosphere. It seems to be a move Esch has perfected. After all, nothing motivates him more than sugar and calories.
If you get nailed with a 16, you can get up.
ButterBean. Oh, big right hand. And that dropped him. And I mean, he's still out.
Eric ButterBean Esch vs. Doug Norris. In 1995, ButterBean was riding an impressive winning streak, racking up 9 victories with almost no effort, as if collecting the bodies of his opponents like they were Digimons. But destroying one challenge only creates a greater one, and soon a worthy opponent emerged from the shadows, one capable of spreading fear with his incredibly athletic physique, Doug Norris. The nickname Dangerous was a clear warning to the chubby fighter that this wouldn't be just another easy win. The fight began, and Norris, who quickly noticed the short reach of his opponent, decided to keep Eric at bay. Even so, in his desperate attempts to land a hit, Esch managed to deliver a couple of punches to Dangerous before reaching his berserker state.
Hours could be limitless here. He was a scary sight.
I guess. Meanwhile, should have fight TKO in the 4th round. I'm really not. Right hand gets to the head of Doug Norris. Norris landing.
ButterBean, the nickname, and going all over to prove those people wrong.
Thingy coming forward with some good shots.
And you're seeing some tough windmilling by ButterBean. He still has that.
Completely stunned by this explosion of cholesterol, Norris dropped the idea of securing an early knockout. Apparently, ButterBean had a third dinner planned, because in the second round, the tables turned, and his opponent's body ended up sending signals to the brain to reconfigure the setting from dangerous to harmless. In doing so, he once again proved that muscles alone don't win fights.
Losing to him a 4th round TKO. And you see a reason why.
Norris, I was joking, but that was the problem.
He'll outbox him, but then he'll get popped.
They clashed heads, and that's what hurt. Doug. Well, it's wild now, folks, and there goes Doug Norris.
ButterBean's professional opponent said he's been able to.
Eric ButterBean Esch vs. James Thompson. ButterBean was never willing to limit his enormous potential. That's why he ventured into MMA when boxing no longer satisfied his hunger for victory. With 7 wins under his belt, promoters introduced Eric as a serious contender against James Thompson, who had already demolished fighters with legendary-level skills. Before the fight, a confident Thompson promised to eliminate every cubic inch of fat in ButterBean's body at high speed. When fight night arrived, the two fighters clashed in the center of the cage. That night, Thompson did keep his promise to end the fight quickly. Though, ironically, he was the one who ended up the victim once Eric decided to give him a little taste of what he knew best: devastation.
And I think that There it is. There you go.
There it is.
Oh, that's about it. ButterBean has done it.
Thompson still looking for the takedown. I don't think Grant Waterman stepped in. Thompson shaking his head, Steve, going, you've got...
Eric ButterBean Esch versus Jonathan Whitfield. The next stop in this colossal and greasy adventure is ButterBean's bout against Jonathan Whitfield, better known as the Bull. During the introductions, Whitfield thought it'd be a good idea to try and intimidate our hero by showing off some of the physical power that had helped him dominate multiple opponents before. What Jonathan didn't know is that ButterBean's only real fear was coming home to find an empty fridge, and only chia seeds and steamed chicken for dinner. As soon as the fight began, Eric didn't hold back in showing Whitfield what truly terrifying meant.
There's that wild swing, ButterBean. Ed, you were talking about ButterBean trying to get that jab out. Right now, not sure. But you're starting to see now a little more of the patience by ButterBean. Now he rushes in. He sees an opportunity.
To Al in the hotel last night, kids were coming up rubbing his head.
And who knows now, maybe those last few fights starts developing more, face some better competition.
Yeah, he says his technique has been to wear people.
Second and stalking him is ButterBean now. ButterBean knows he's closing in.
But ButterBean has just walked right through those punches of Whitfield.
For this one, now that he's we're coming down to the conclusion of third, good punch.
After sending Whitfield crashing to the canvas, ButterBean once again proved that carrying a few extra pounds isn't really a problem in boxing. In fact, with the right skills, it might just be your greatest strength.
Hey, they've asked me that several times, and I said, for a right of
the fight, Joe L. Scott, rising young heavyweight.
Eric ButterBean Esch versus Pat Jackson. Pat Jackson is another mountain of muscle who failed to uphold the values of a true gentleman of the sport and decided to mock Eric, claiming he wasn't a real fighter. That left ButterBean with no choice but to teach him a lesson. At the time, our regular McDonald's customer had 13 wins on his professional record, still undefeated. Jackson, determined to prove the results of his gym rat lifestyle, insisted he had the strength to erase the sacred 0 in ButterBean's loss column. When the fight began, Esch lunged at his opponent like a furious predator. He tried to punch using a pendulum motion, but due to his size, it transformed into a devastating wrecking ball.
More instinctively, if he tries to get too fundamentally oriented, which over the long haul he needs, it might hurt.
Wanted Pat Jackson to stand in front of him, but guess what?
He utilizes every inch of the ring, and he wishes.
Jackson tried to keep the greasy fury at bay with his jab, almost managing to dislodge the beer tank that kept ButterBean running.
Say he has his hands full is the understatement of the decade. And there is a little blood trickling also. We're in round 2, and they told ButterBean, and that's what he's doing.
Now he is in his element.
Then, as if possessed by some obese spirit of war, Esch charged forward blindly in a rampage, destroying everything in his path, including the referee.
They are into this fight. Good right by ButterBean. He may have hurt Jackson. His jab's not much. Bean comes in with the overhand right.
He's not punching off, and he's moving straight back too much.
And ButterBean's still having a hard time hitting survival mode. He's not punching much. I don't think he has much on the punch. He's so tired. We'll be back for round 3. Hold down.
Well, exactly. He is a candidate, and if you ever wanted to define the body, then go upstairs. Now he's uppercutting.
The interesting thing, Dave, is he hasn't really...
Should have been scheduled for 3.
Yeah, thank you.
That might be one of the most dramatic shots he walked into. Boy, that's combat, Dave.
Apparently, after witnessing ButterBean's knockout power up close, Jackson got scared enough to refuse to keep fighting. That night, Eric secured a double victory and, of course, rewarded himself with 2 double Big Macs when he got home. Eric ButterBean Esch versus Ed White. In 2006, ButterBean decided to test his strength against a true steroid-powered machine, Ed White, in a fight for the International Boxing Association Championship. From the opening... Eric ButterBean Esch versus Kevin Talon. By 1999, ButterBean had already reached the milestone of 42 professional wins, but this meat lover wasn't ready to be satisfied just yet. His next goal was to claim the title of Most Hated Man in the Ring, and standing in his way was none other than Kevin Talon. Even before the fight began, ButterBean had already added his next victim to the menu. And as soon as the bell rang, he charged in like a hunter about to feast on his prey. After folding Talon's legs and declaring himself the king of 4-rounders, Eric looked fully determined to end the bout.
After having turned cold in 85. ButterBean in real hand movement, getting Talon with some counterpunching of his own. ButterBean missing with the right hand, scoring with a left and a right as Talon comes in.
How many fights does he have?
Well, Talon just got knocked and ButterBean knockout. And he sends
Talon, showing great resilience, kept getting up, making the audience wonder if ButterBean would actually get the win he so badly wanted.
ButterBean. And ButterBean comfortably in control in his form, continues to pound the overmatched Talon.
Tall Jones, the great defensive lineman from the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't do too well.
At one point, it even seemed like Esh had been possessed by the evil spirit of death. Relentlessly continuing the punishment, the god of cholesterol decided to end Talon's defiance by sacrificing him against the ropes and putting a stop to the fight.
I know Shaquille O'Neal would beat him because he's a bigger guy, he's a big, strong athlete. No, when he gets in the ring, all of a sudden, psyche. It's a whole different sport.
But the way Talon gets it, obviously a wide.
So a lot of time, Talon doesn't make him. He's got a guy in front of him who's covering up, so he brings the uppercut up. Try to straighten him up.
Opponent in front of him can nail him a little bit, like Funmaker, but Talon just can't. And
If you've made it this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. Remember, the best way to support my content is by leaving a like on the video. Which of these matches was your favorite, and why? What other ButterBean fight would you like to see in a part 2 of this video? I'll be reading your comments.